Press record. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Welcome. I can see lots of participants joining, right? Welcome to Getting Ready with Cambridge. Would you mind popping in the chat where in Italy you're from and where you're based? Where you from? Marbella, south of Spain. Well, I like that. From Iran. Interesting. Very international crowd today. We're gonna wait a couple of minutes so that we can wait for everybody to join us. Again, if you would like to pop in the chat as you join where you're writing from, where you're based now, we'll be super happy. Hello, Juliana. From Calabria. Right. In the meantime, I'm going to start sharing the screen so that we are ready when time comes. I hope you can all see my screen. Can you all see my screen?
I can, Filippo. Everything's okay.
Thanks a lot, Mike. Yeah, we're going to be starting in a minute time, but I won't be too strict. So I'll try to be a bit late, so to give everybody time to join the webinar. In the meantime, I am going to introduce myself. My name is Filippo Pavesi, and I'm the Learning Assessment Consultant for the Northeast of Italy. So I covered the Northeast, plus I covered the lucky provinces of Brescia and Bergamo. And with me today, who's going to work in the background, in the shadows, my colleague and friend, Michael Clancy. Mike, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Filippo. Yeah, Michael Clancy. I'm also a learning and assessment consultant. I'm based in Bologna. So I cover Emilia-Romagna, Marche, and a few provinces in Lombardia, Mantova, Cremona, and Lodi. And yes, as Filippo said, I'll be working behind the scenes for the next hour, 15 minutes or so. I'll be sharing relevant links as they come up. So as Filippo presents material and resources online, I'll be sharing the links in the chat where you can go to access that content. And I'll be answering as many questions as I can in real time, and potentially saving some for the end of the session if we have time to speak about any more of the bigger questions that do pop up.
Fantastic. Okay, so we're gonna, well, first of all, see if this presentation works. That's a good start. Okay, very quick overview of what we're going to be doing today. So the first half an hour, we're going to look at Cambridge support. So what Cambridge can do for you, what we have available for you. And in this session, as Mike just mentioned, we will be sharing a lot of very, very interesting links. Okay, so piece of advice, Mike will share, I will show you things in the presentation. Mike will share the link. Click on the link immediately so that it opens up in the browser, and when the session is over, you'll still have it. Or if you want, just open a Word document and just copy and paste the link so that, again, when the presentation is over, you'll have a list of very, very useful links. Okay. And then the second part, 45 minutes, we'll be talking about Go For It. So our lower secondary course book for Italy, it's an Italy-specific title. And we'll be looking at the book, and we'll go through a unit walkthrough, some resources, and see how the book is structured. So without further ado, just a reminder, very important, you will receive your certificates from the plenary session in your follow-up email. So you will receive a certificate. So don't worry. If you don't see it immediately tomorrow, do not panic. You will receive it. And another thing that is very important, please feel free to interact with us in the chat and Q&A. So the idea is that what you're going to put in the chat is comments, is if I ask you questions, you're going to put it in the chat. Not that I can see the chat, Mike will see the chat and will tell me, but if you want to interact with us, just please put it in the chat. If you have questions, please put them in the Q&A. So that will be easier for Mike to keep track of the questions and for us to answer the questions at the end of the session. Okay, so again, as we said, we're going to start with Cambridge support for teenagers. Okay, and of course, it's back to school. At the start of the school year, it's not easy for us and it's not easy for our students. Okay, so we're going to share with you some top tips for the start of the school year. They might seem obvious, but of course, what we're going to do, we're also going to talk about how we can, for example, number one, create the right environment, how we can give our students the tools for success. And for you teachers, hopefully by the end of this session, you will know where to go for support, and you'll have plenty of links, plenty of websites, plenty of platforms where you can get support from. It's very sunny in here, which is great when I'm going to brag about it. So I'll do that now. All right, so we're going to start with the first one. Remember, we've got three: create the right environment, give our students the tools for success, and know where to go for support. Number one is create the right environment. So this is very important if you want to create the right environment. First of all, our students need to feel that you care about their personal lives and aspirations. At the end of the day, we teachers are facilitators, we are models, but most importantly, we are part of their lives. So they should feel comfortable with us, comfortable with sharing things, and comfortable with being around us. So it's very important that we show that we care about them. Although we know that sometimes it's very difficult, I would say that's key to a successful start of the year. The other thing is to have the opportunities to have the efforts recognized. Feedback is important, and positive feedback and reinforcement is even more important. Also because this gives them like a purpose. Students will feel that they are improving, that they are going along, that they're like, you know, moving forward. And that is a great feeling because we don't want them to feel, you know, stuck like in a plateau kind of thing. And of course, number one and number two, they will help students to move forward. Okay. Now here comes the first link that Mike is going to share in the chat. Back to school. Again, it's not easy, but we're here to support you. So if you haven't seen it before, this is our blog. We have a fantastic blog called Word of Better Learning. Now, Mike is going to share the link to this specific article written by Daniel Vincent, and it's all about back to school and how to get off on a good start with new class, activities, ideas, etc. But this is not the only article that you have in that blog. There are hundreds, thousands of articles with ideas, with tips, with lesson plans, with interesting topics. Okay, so please click on the link and check the blog out, because it's on a weekly basis. I think you're pretty sure on a weekly basis we post new articles. Okay. Another thing that can be useful for you. Now, this guy here, by the way, it's free, of course. This guy here, it's not free, but this is from our auto guru, Herbert Puchter's 101 Tips for Teaching Teenagers. Obviously, today we're talking about teenagers. It's a fantastic book. It's really, really short. It's sweet. It's got lots of activities, really hands-on. So should you be interested, you know, just have a look at it, because it's a phenomenal book. And as you can see, we have think about engaging that we talked about before. Okay. Now, Mike, how are we doing with the chat? We got questions. Are teachers following us? Are they already asleep? How are we doing there?
People seem to be following along quite nicely. No pressing questions that have come up in the chat just yet. A couple of nice positive comments about the book, which is good to see. But
fantastic.
Nothing that we need to stop and comment on just yet.
Great. Yeah, those books, those tiny books, that's fantastic because again, they are super hands-on. It's just like a lot of activities with rationale and they're targeted for teenagers. So if if you want, just have a look at it, they're really good. Now, there's another thing that is I think interesting that we can offer you, and it's this, the Cambridge Life Competencies Framework. Now, why are we talking about life competencies? Because we know that the world is changing and it changes very rapidly. And English, per se, just the language might not be enough. Actually, I would say we all probably agree that it's not just about English. It's about critical thinking. It's about collaboration. It's about communication. It's about learning life competencies that go beyond. And in Cambridge, we worked really hard. We're a university and we came out with a fantastic life competencies framework. But it doesn't end here because that's, washy-washy, it's just like some pedagogical stuff. No, it's real concrete ideas. Okay. So with the framework, let me just go back a second, with this beautiful framework, which provides you with a solid like theoretical background and rationale, we also developed these fantastic cards that you can use in the classroom tomorrow. And they're free, they're downloadable. Mike has shared the link. And as you can see here, you got at the top right corner, you have what we're talking about. So here is critical thinking and what specifically we're talking about in critical thinking, and we have practical ideas. So if you have a chance, go download these cards and use them tomorrow. Okay. And here are other ideas like evaluating ideas and arguments, etc., solving problems, making decisions, etc. Okay. Now, if you remember, now we want to talk, we've started with what we can do for you, but also what we can do for our students. So give them the tools for success. And now we're going to talk about some digital and some non-digital platforms and ideas that you can use with your students to help them. The first one is Test and Train. Some of you might already know Test and Train, some of you might not. Why am I talking about Test and Train? Because if you're here, you're probably going to use Go For It this year. And as you might know, or maybe don't know, Go For It in the third year, so level 3, for everybody, you'll have access to Test and Train. Very quickly, what are we talking about? What is Test and Train? Test and Train is a fantastic, what would you call it, Michael? It's not a platform, is it? What would you call Test and Train? Apart from a fantastic thing.
Well, that's a very good question, Filippo. Yeah, no, it's not a platform. It's a tool that can be used online via the browser. So it functions inside an LMS platform that we have, but essentially an exam preparation tool. Allows students to work through exam type questions and allows them to work through exam simulations as well. So it's a great thing that learners can access on their own, work through predominantly independently.
A tool. Yeah, I like that.
Their exam skills.
Yeah, a tool. That's the right word. You see, as Mike said, it's a fantastic tool that your students will have access to because it is part of Go For It, and students can train with shot-on-the-go tasks, improve their performance, boost their confidence, sharpen writing and speaking skills. And if we have time later, I'm going to show you a bit more about Test and Train, but it's, phenomenal. And another thing that is free for both you and, of course, your students is Write and Improve. Some of you, probably a lot of you know already Write and Improve, but if you don't know Write and Improve, I'm going to make your day because it's wizardry. It's almost AI before AI, right? So what is Write and Improve? Well, it does what it says in the tin. Our students, they can write, they can put in a piece of writing, and Write and Improve will mark it for them. But not just mark it, because if you mark, you might not improve. What is important to improve? Feedback is important, is getting them to think about what mistake they made, why they made it, what can they do to change it, right? So as you can see, this is a perfect example of feedback. This is a good start. now improve your writing on the platform. I would suggest the student do it again, okay? And as you can see here, we have all these beautiful symbols like question mark and etc., etc., etc. Why do we have them? Because let me show it to you. There you go. So you can see that hello with one L, and we got like, wait, what's going on here? And the platform will tell you, is the spelling correct? Did you mean to write friend? So it kind of gives you tips, gives our student tips to kind of like start self-analyzing and correcting the piece of work in order to improve. You know, if this one, that's a suspicious word, that doesn't look right to us. Are you sure? Okay, etc., etc. On top of this, which might be something that might be very interesting for you teachers, is that Write and Improve also come with, as you can see, there's a tab called Test Zone, and that one basically, these are ready-made tasks, writing tasks that you can obviously, you know, get your students to do on the platform, but you can just take the task and use it in your like just day-to-day classroom. If you want to do focus on writing, you have ideas kind of already there for you and at the right level. Okay, so as you can see, you have the B2 first, question 1, question 2, lots of examples. And then I'm aware of the time, so we might have to move a bit again quickly, and we're going to move to another thing that you can use to support again your students. And one more time, you are here probably because you're going to be using Go For It, and since you're going to be using Go For It, you'll be using Test and Train, and Test and Train is hosted on this beautiful platform that is a platform called Cambridge One. Now, why is Cambridge One important? For a lot of reasons. The first one, what's special about it is that finally it's all in one place. So all the resources that you need that relates to Test and Train and other things, they're all in one place. It's age appropriate, so we know exactly who we're talking to. We're talking to teenagers, we're not talking to adults. So it's age appropriate, and of course it's data that you can trust because it comes from Cambridge, and it also comes from what your students will put in the platform. Now, this is just how you register. That's not important, but something you might, again, want to know is that you see there that we got main section, we got bookmark courses, but at the bottom we have the lovely tab called Teacher Support. Now, why is that interesting? Because that Teacher Support tab, that contains a lot of courses. Some of them are free, some of them are not. So the ones at the bottom where you see classroom management, etc., they're not for free. And as you can see, there's a trolley that says visit our shop. But at the bottom, you have those beautiful courses that'll teach you how to teach with Cambridge One, how to teach with Practice Extra, and very importantly, how to teach with Test and Train. But again, it is a tool that you will have, you can access with Go For It. Okay, and now the last part is know where to go for support. Now, we showed you the blog, we showed you Cambridge One, we showed Test and Train, but now here is more. Okay, where can you go for support? Now, this is something I would say relatively new that we have in Cambridge, and it's the exam preparation journey. And it's a fantastic, it's phenomenal website. Mike, have you shared the link, Mike?
I have. I've just put it in.
Fantastic. I mean, this is like, as you can see, we have two basically, you know, don't go now because otherwise you won't be listening to me. But as soon as you finish the session, please go and check out the exam preparation journey. As you can see, you can find two things. One on the left is packs and the other on the right is resources. So resources is basically, we got, as you can see, all the levels, all the exams. You click there and it will send you directly to a website where you'll be able to download tons of resources for students, for teachers, and also for parents. Okay, but the other thing that is fantastic is these packs. See if I remember correctly there. Yeah, so this is now talk about it later. So see on the left that you have how to be smart, how to build autonomy, maximizing materials, mock test, demonstrating. Basically, when you click on each of these, you will be sent to a page with a starting pack, with lots of materials, with lots of information on each step of the preparation journey. Okay. And if this is not enough, and if you want more, and if I were you, I would want more. Okay. Here, you can, Michael is going to share it in the chat. You can also sign up for free to a newsletter. Now, we are Cambridge, so we are not gonna bother you with buy this, buy that. What we're gonna do is we're gonna share with you all the materials that we share, all the webinars, teacher training events. Sometimes, yes, we might talk about a new book that's been released, but it is very important. If I were you, I would sign up because you are up to date with all the events, Italian events, and worldwide events that we organize. So please do sign up to our free newsletter. And if you get bored, you can unsubscribe, right? Okay. So again, this is very University of Cambridge. So let's not forget that, yes, we are a university, and we also develop some pedagogical papers. So on our website, and sorry, Mike is going to share the link in the chat. You'll be able to find this very, very interesting papers, so such as developing young writers in ELT, giving feedback, specific learning difficulties in ELT, motivational aspect of using near peers role models. So here it is more, again, pedagogical, but nonetheless very interesting and very important, and again focus on what we do every day in our everyday classrooms. Okay, now I'm aware of the time, so I'm going quite quickly, so we're gonna kind of like jump to something that is very dear to me, and is sustainability. Like, why we're going to talk about sustainability. Now, my question for you is, can you type in the chat box a question, like answer to this question. What words come to mind when you think about sustainability? So it doesn't have to be necessarily related with your classrooms, with your students, etc. Just, let's do word association. I say sustainability. What's the first thing that comes to mind? Can you pop it in the chat and see what you come up with? Mike, if I say to you sustainability, what would you come up with?
Well, we've got the first responses coming through in the chat here. Environment, natural resources.
Nice.
Resources.
True.
What comes to mind for me is when we talk about sustainability is also responsibility, personal responsibility, and also societal responsibility to being sustainable. And some more comments about shortage of resources.
Okay.
Awareness. There's some interesting ones coming through.
Awareness, nice. Thank you. Well, also thank you, because that proves that you're still there. So that's also very important. Well, aspects of sustainability. We talked about this. You guys talked about this, but I wanted to add a couple of things which we kind of talked about, is about responsibilities and awareness, social, and also economic. So 3 different aspects. Now, sustainability is very difficult. It's a concept that is very difficult to describe, but nonetheless, I think there is a way. What we think we could define sustainability as sustainability encompasses the knowledge, skills, and attitudes we need to ensure a fairer, brighter future for people in the natural world. And the question is, like, you might ask, Filippo, why are you talking about this? I mean, yes, it's very important, but we're teachers. What's it got to do with our day-to-day life, with our students, our lessons, etc.? Well, it's got a lot to do with all of us, really, because we do live in this world. And so the question is, like, maybe why do we want to bring sustainability into the English language? Does it make sense? Is it important? Obviously the question is there because we think, I think, Mike think, we think that it is very important to bring into the language classroom. Okay, but how can we do this? Okay, how can we bring in sustainability in language learning? Well, we're here to help you. Okay, young people, okay, want to play an active part, and we know that, and we work with young people, with teenagers. There's some meaningful engagement with English language, aka you can get a lot out of it. Okay, development of life skills. That we talked about life skills at the beginning of the presentations, if you remember. So again, that's another thing. And then English as a shared language in global discussions, and governmental and institutional requirements, and so on and so forth. So because of all of the above, again, Cambridge being Cambridge, first thing we did, wait a second, we need to come up with a framework for ELT. So we did, and here's your framework. Okay, now, again, it's not just theory, read, but I don't know what to do with this information. No, we're Cambridge, and want to put that immediately into practice. So as you can see, we have this beautiful cards, sustainability framework for ELT, for example, young learner activity cards. And they are phenomenal because, again, these are activities that you can do tomorrow with your students in the classroom, and you'll see how sustainability and ELT, they are really intertwined. Okay, now again, I'm sorry, I'm going very quickly, but I know that, first of all, I'm blah 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 talking a lot, and second of all, we have to talk about, go for it. But again, this is another big topic. You're probably already bored of the AI thing, but please, in the chat box, one word or phrase about how you feel about Gen AI. I'm going to start. I'm going to say scared. That's me. Mike, how do you feel about AI? Mike is there.
Sure, scared it would be an appropriate one, but I think I'm a bit more kind of torn a bit both ways. It's a scary proposition, but it's also potentially
Exciting.
full of exciting opportunities. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what we're getting in the chat box as well. Some people are saying scared or too fast. Some people are saying helpful, prospective,
too
curious.
Fast. Yeah. Too fast.
I think that's an important one too, at least in my opinion. The speed at which these tools are developing, and our ability as society to keep up with it and understand what it really means, and how it can help us or not.
And how can we use it? Like, because they're so fast, they develop so quickly that, even understanding how to use them can be tricky, right? And again, hopefully we are here for you. Well, actually, we are here for you, and hopefully what we have is something that will help you. Okay, so generative AI idea hack for English language teachers. You can use the QR code now, or you can use the beautiful link that Mike is sharing or has already shared in the chat. And again, it's not just theory. It's not just wishy-washy. We're Cambridge. We want to put it into practice. As you can see, these cards, they've got practical ideas that you can use with your students in the classroom. We know that, as of this year, students cannot use a mobile phone in the classroom. I'm not going to ask you whether you agree or not with this. That's beside the point. But as we know, ChatGPT and all the different generative AI tools can be accessed through laptops. And I'm sure, I hope in your schools you have IT, but what do you call them, like IT rooms? I think. Sorry, I'm not a native speaker, so ask Mike to help me out.
In America, we used to call them computer labs.
Yeah, there you go. Labs, that's the word. You got computer labs. So there you go. You can, maybe it will be an interesting idea to kind of do like a session in the computer lab using generative AI, but getting some English out of it. Okay. Now, I'm going to talk about this later. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing for a second. Okay. And hi, everybody. It's nice to see you. I didn't see anything. Mike, before we move on to Go For It, which is, I guess, one of the reasons why our teachers are here, anything worth mentioning in the chat? Any questions? Or teachers, have you got any questions? Are you happy about these resources? Do you think they're useful? Which one do you think you want to use immediately tomorrow? Sustainability cards, generative AI, life skills, anything interesting, anything that you would like to use tomorrow? Or maybe today?
Well, one question that came up in the chat earlier when we were talking about the book was a question about how this teacher is able to purchase the book. So I didn't
Very
comment
good.
in the chat because it's it depends on where exactly you are, but maybe we want to spend just 30 seconds to summarize
Yes.
the answer to that.
So basically, the easiest way for you to do it, okay, is if you can call your local consultant. So if you're in the Northeast, that would be me. If you are in Mike's regions, that would be Mike. Or you can call your local Lercher Cambridge agent. They will be able to tell you where to purchase the book. They will do it for you. You can purchase the book through them. Or you can simply go to any bookshop in the country and you can purchase the books. Okay, because our books, they are available everywhere in the country. Of course, it might take a bit longer if it's a small bookshop in a small town, but Mike has just, thank you, Mike, has just posted in the chat, like the different Lercher agencies. So I would say the quickest thing to do, check where you are, click on the website, put the city where you're in at the moment, you'll see the name of the agency, call them up and ask them, and they'll be able to help you. Did I answer that correctly, Mike?
I think so, yes.
Yes.
For anyone that's not based in Italy, I guess it's going to be a similar setup in that each country will have their own local distributors. If you know who that is, you can contact them. If not, you can go to our Cambridge website, cambridge.org, and you'll be able to use a search bar there, I'm sure, to find the name and contact information for the local consultant or person that covers your region of the world.
Yes. Okay. Perfect. Shall we, any questions, Mike, or shall we move on to Go For It?
No, everything else was just positive commentary about the resources and the way things have been going so
I
far. So I
like
think
positive comments.
we're all set to move on to the second half of the
Right.
session, I'd say.
Okay, guys, I'm going to share the screen and hopefully you're going to help me out there. Tell me if it's all good, if you can see everything. Can you see everything? Mike, people out there?
I can see everything.
Okay, good. I'm going to hide that. Okay, so we're going to talk about Go For It today. Our new Italian specific course book for lower secondary. My idea is we're going to do like a kind of bit of in-depth, let's say, unit walkthrough. I'm going to show you some resources in the end matter, meaning what's at the end of the book, pretty much. And hopefully I'll have time to show you other resources that you can use that go alongside. Go For It. Okay. So yes, I'm also going to be asking you questions. So as usual, put your comments in the chat, but if you have specific questions about Go For It, please put the specific questions in the Q&A box, so it'll be easier for us to answer these questions throughout the presentation or at the end. Okay, so this is Go For It. It's a fantastic book. Of course, I was going to say that, but I do believe that, I do believe it's a fantastic book. I'm going to zoom in a bit, and this is like a unit opener. Okay, yes, I know you have seen this before. It's a dialogue, it's a video story. All the episodes are linked because they create like a TV series. Okay, however, something I wanted to point out, I want to show you, is the fact that, as you can see, the speakers, they are color-coded. Now, this is very, very helpful for visual learners. Like, I'm not a visual learner, I'm an audio learner, but like a lot of people, most people are visual learners, so that is super helpful for visual learners, and it's actually helpful for everybody because students are struggling, the students are strong, because again, it's an easy way to identify the speaker. I'm going to move on very quickly, but just one thing I wanted to point out is this box called For Real. Now, I know that you've seen boxes called For Real, Real English, and in every single course book you've ever used in your life. I am aware of that. This is not new, the For Real, but what I think is interesting is the language that we put in that box, because it really is colloquial. There are really colloquialisms. You know, sometimes you see things like hi instead of hello. Wow, that's super colloquial, right? No, this is not what we're talking about. We're talking about expressions that are, again, idiomatic and colloquial. So if you have time when you use it, just please do pay attention to that box, because it is very, very interesting. Now, before I talk about this specific page and the book and the philosophy behind the book, I'm going to ask you a question. And please put it in the chat. I'm under the impression, okay, by talking to many teachers, and I think Mike agrees with me because we talked about this. I'm under the impression that after COVID, after those 2-3 years, students' levels went out the window. What I mean by that is that I see classes where you have some students that are stronger than they were in the past, than before COVID, let's say, and you see students who are weaker than before COVID. So basically, your classes are getting more and more varied. Let's use a nice term. Is this your experience? Does it ring a bell when you think about your recent classes? Does it ring a bell, like levels kind of changed a lot after COVID? You know, classes are very varied. Yes or no? Or maybe I'm completely wrong. Mike, what does the chat say?
The chat says yes. True, true. Yes, it is.
Okay.
So I think the consensus
is... So we got it right.
Yeah.
But the reason why I asked this question is because really, like, what's behind the philosophy behind this book is this: is flexibility, is scaffolding, is leveling. So had we got that wrong, that would have been problematic, right? So and this is gonna be very apparent in here in the vocabulary section, but also in different parts of the books. So what I mean by that is, as you can see here, you have your vocabulary here, and you have the first part, which is your standard vocabulary. But here you have the level up. So again, when you have those students or those classes, they can go a bit deeper, they can go a bit higher, then you can use both. And if you want to go even higher, just going to go, you have here the word bank session. Now here is a third level. So basically, you will see again throughout my presentation what we're going to talk about. We're always going to try to talk about different leveling. Okay. And also here, just want to point out the pronunciation section that you will always find in the vocabulary bit. Okay. And we're going to cover, obviously, all the sounds and features of a connected speech, etc., etc., etc. Now, grammar, our beloved grammar. Oh, sorry, I forgot to say something. Here, obviously, we have a video dialogue. I'm not going to show it to you because I've got so many things to show you. You've seen it before. I'll show you other videos, but just, you know, bear in mind that obviously we do have a video for this. Good that I remember that. So grammar, our beloved grammar. 3 pages, 1, 2, 3. Okay. What we use is, as you can see here, is a mildly inductive approach. That means that we show our students a model and we get them to work out the rules by themselves. This is very important because obviously the idea behind it is that if you work out the rule by yourself, it is easier for you to remember the rule. Hence why these boxes are called think. You know, do that thing that you normally don't do. Think a bit. I'm joking. Very important thing, seen it before, but I'm going to point out, as you can see, 1 square, 2 squares, 3 squares. Exercises are graded, so both grammar and vocabulary exercises are graded 1, 2, or 3 squares. That's the level of difficulties. Another thing that you might be pleased to know is that, do you guys, let me ask a question because I'm talking too much. Do you guys use Kahoot? Do you know what Kahoot is? Do you use it? Have you used it with your students? in the chat box. Yes, no, don't know what it is. Yes, I love it. Or what are you talking about, Filippo? Do you use Kahoot? Do you like it?
Yep, a few people are saying yes, although just a couple of comments which might mean that not everyone is familiar with it.
All right. So if you don't know what Kahoot is, it's basically the easiest way to explain that is like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? You know, if you know the quiz show, that's what Kahoot is. And as you can see here, we got Kahoot in the grammar section and Kahoot in the vocabulary section. Okay. And basically, if your students, they click here, they'll be sent to a ready-made vocabulary Kahoot for this specific section, or a ready-made grammar Kahoot for this specific section, where they can test themselves against a platform and play against players all over the world. Basically, they're playing against the platform. Or you teachers can set up a Kahoot in class and get your students in different groups, and they can answer the questions, and who's the fastest, who's the most accurate, they get points. It is very interactive. It's lots of fun. It's a nice way to like kind of gamify revision, and it's already ready for you here. Just click the link and you're good to go. Okay. And here is I'm just going to go single page. Here is one of my favorite sections in Go For It. It's the function section, but we call it English in Italy. It's every 2 units, okay? And the question behind it is like, why do we have to wait for our students to go abroad to practice English? Can they speak English in this country? Yes. Do we have tourists? Yes, we do have tourists. Do we have native speakers living here? Yes, we do have native speakers living here. Mike is an example, right? So do we have to wait for them to go abroad, or can they start using English? They can, and this is what this page is about, is English in Italy. So we're going to show you a quick video where you see our characters here. They're in a restaurant, they're going to help our tourists, and of course they're in Italy, and they're going to do it in English. Now, this is also very important because it will help us work on mediation, which is another pillar of this coursebook, and you'll have it here. And also remember that we talked about the blog. I don't know if you remember at the beginning of the session, we talked about that blog. If you type in mediation in the blog, you will find articles about mediation and how to integrate that in your day-to-day classroom, okay? And also, and then I'm going to stop talking and show you the video, I promise you. Also, this helps us work on pronunciation. And you're going to say, why, Filippo? Because these 2 guys, the characters, are Italian, and they have an Italian accent. So after the video and after the exercise, we're going to ask our students to listen to the same conversation again, but this time the speakers will be native speakers, so that our students can start kind of identifying the differences between the way we Italians speak English and how, in this case, will be a British native speaker would pronounce it. Not that we want them to be, you've got to sound like a native speaker, but the more aware you are of the differences, the easier it is for you to learn how to say things in a better and more intelligible way. So without further ado, I'm going to show the video. Hopefully you can also hear it, but I think you can.
Excuse me, do you speak English?
Yes, but only a little.
What's Gnocchi pomodoro?
Gnocchi al pomodoro is a type of dumpling with tomato sauce. It's very delicious.
Oh, great. Is there meat in it?
No, there isn't. It's a vegetarian dish.
Oh, great. Sorry, I've got one more question. What are these?
They are side dishes. Contorni are side dishes, for example, chips, salad, and vegetables.
Thanks very much for your help, guys.
You're welcome. I hope our English is okay.
Your English is excellent.
Thanks. Enjoy your meal.
And very importantly, we also have very happy parents, which is always good. No, like it's fantastic. It offers like a model for our students, like something you can do and they're going to be proud of. And also just one thing I want to point out, I don't know if you noticed the guy, the tourist, he's from Ireland. Why am I saying that? But one is because Mike's family is originally from Ireland, so I just wanted to pay homage to Mike. And the other reason is that, as we know, the Invalsi test they will do third year, and also if you guys do the A2 key exam, you have speakers from different parts of the English-speaking world, so not just English people, but American people, Irish people, etc. And that's why in Go For It, you will not just find let's say English native speaker from England, but you will find speakers from different parts of the English-speaking worlds. Okay, so let me go back to our double page view. Okay, here, remember then we talked about levels being out of the window after COVID, and how this book is a tool that can allow you to work again with students at different levels. We're going to see another example here. So it's a skills and culture page. You've seen it before. Yes, it's skills. Yes, it's culture. Yes, we start talking about educazione civica. You see here, we got our Agenda 2030, but also very importantly here, we're going to start talking about speaking strategies and oracy. And I said we're going to start because, again, this is not the only place in the book where you will find oracy. It just depends on how deep you want to go and how much you want to do, depending on you, your classes, your students. Okay? Now, here comes, again, let me go single page. Here comes my favorite. This is my favorite. I know I've said this before, but this is my favorite section in the book, and it's the for real section. Now, we call it, I'm going to show you a video. There are two videos. I'm only going to show you one, okay? But there's a reason why we call it for real. There are different reasons. The first one, the guys that you see in the video, in all the videos, they are not actors. They're real kids. These are kids. This is a school right outside Cambridge. So we went up there and we interviewed the kids. So these are real kids. The answers they're going to give are real answers, okay? It's literally what they think, okay? The other thing is the conversations are not scripted, which means that they are not graded. This is native speaker level. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're like, wait a second. You talk about first unit, first year, prima media. When you're going to get some like native speaker, listening with native speakers, how are they going to understand? Don't worry, because first of all, the videos are very short. That's why we have two videos. Second of all, the questions that we ask are very simple. As my Delta trainer used to say, it's not about how difficult a text is, it's about how difficult a question is. So if a text is very difficult, but you ask a very simple question, even an elementary or beginner students will be able to answer. And third of all, you see in the video, there are lots of visual aids, okay? But without further ado, I'm just going to show you one of these two videos and you tell me what you think.
Is there any food you don't like?
I don't really like mushrooms, and I don't really like tomatoes either, unless they're in tomato ketchup. I don't like tomatoes either, but mushrooms are really good.
What food is there in your favourite breakfast?
My favourite breakfast, probably a fruit salad. I really like pineapple with mango and stuff like that. I like just a pancake.
Is there any strange food in your diet?
I really like ketchup on toast. It's actually quite nice. One strange food is probably something called tofu.
Probably something called tofu. That's true. But as you can see, it's very cute. Like the genuine reactions when the guy said, "I don't like mushroom." The other kid looked at him like, "What? How does he look like mushroom?" So again, that's why we call it for real. And I think it's very important that we start exposing our students to like some fast and connected, like, speech, because, they will eventually need to face that. So without, putting pressure on them, it's nice to kind of start working on it. And just another thing that I wanted to point out here, one of the very important boxes that I would say is something they start introducing right after COVID is well-being. Physical and psychological well-being for students, but also for our teachers. Okay. Now, we just mentioned the InValsi preparation when we talked about different accents, and as you can see, from the first level, first year, every 2 units, we have a dedicated page for InValsi preparation with strategies and everything to be put into practice. Okay. Now, here's the end of the unit. Okay. What I'm going to show you here is the differences that we got between the odd units, so 1, 3, etc., and the even units, so 2, 4, etc. So unit 4 to exactly the same, apart from, yes, we got the vocabulary, yes, we got our grammar, yes, we have our functions. By here, as you can see, we have our, let's say, more traditional functions, so what we call the English in the UK, but of course they do come with video. Okay, and moving forward, talking about videos, the skills and culture page in unit 2, 4, 6, and 8 comes with another video. Now, very quickly, let me show you this video, and then you have to answer this question. Why do you think I showed you this video?
It's 7:30. Time for breakfast. After we sleep, we are hungry and we want to eat.
Right, very quickly, why do you think I showed you 30 seconds of, or 3 seconds of this specific video? If you can't answer, I'll give you a hint. Mike, have we got any answers?
So far, no. You've stumped me as well.
No.
Someone says to make us hungry.
Yes, that's an idea. Now I want to show you again. Think about the accent thing. The first video, English in Italy, the guy was from Ireland. The speaker here, the voiceover, is it English from England?
I think someone's got it. Someone mentioned American accent.
Exactly. So that's another example. We have on purpose different accents, American, Irish, English, because again, our students need to do it for the InValsi. They also need to do it for the A2 key exams if you guys are preparing them. Okay. And of course, speaking of which, the other difference that you have is that in unit 2, 4, 6, 8, and let me just go single page, we have A2 key for schools preparation page, which means that you can prepare your students in your curricular morning, let's say, hours, and then when they feel comfortable at the end of the 3 years, they can take the exam and get a very, very important, as I call it, piece of paper that can change your life. I'm going to show you some really cool stuff that we have at the end, but since I'm not a visual learner, I tend to forget things. So I'm going to say something that I forgot. Let me just go back very quickly. Remember that we talked about grammar. Okay, something I did not tell you, but you might be pleased to know, is that all these grammar points, they come with a video. Okay, and these videos are grammar animations, so they are fantastic for visual learners, but at the same time, there's a voiceover, which means that audio learners like me can benefit from this kind of video. I'm just going to show you a snippet, just 2 seconds, just for you to have an idea of what I'm talking about. Here's the video.
Le preposizioni di luogo servono per indicare dove si trova qualcuno o qualcosa, come nell'esempio
Mom, where's my phone?
Is it in your school bag?
No, it isn't.
Oh, here it is. It's on your desk in front of the computer.
Thanks, Mom.
Le preposizioni di luogo sono
In,
dentro,
on,
sopra,
under.
Now, I know you cannot wait to find out what the next preposition of place is, but I'm not going to tell you. You have to start using the book immediately. No, I'm joking. But as you can see, we work on both levels, both visually and for audio learners. And also, you know, there are grammar videos that are very, you can use them in so many ways. You can use them to present grammar. They can use it to revise grammar. You can flip it. You can get them to watch the videos and kind of do the theory bit by themselves at home. And then the following day, you know, the following lesson, focus on control practice and focus on freer activities. There are so many ways that they can be used. And the good news, as you can see, for every grammatical, you know, structure, we have a specific video. Okay. I'm going to just show you very quickly the workbook, not all of it, but there are a couple of things that you might need to know. Obviously, in the workbook, you have your grammar notes with a lengthier explanation of all the grammar rules, and here the vocabulary bank puts together. But something that you have, obviously, the maps, the grammar maps are here. But something I would like to point out, it's really interesting, and you can only find it in the workbook, is this. So in the film story section, the workbook, at the bottom, you have these SEL, social emotional learning. It's a tiny bit, but remember, we're talking about life skills, and we're talking about how English, just English per se, the language is not enough. And that's what SEL is social emotional learning. We go beyond the language when we talk about very important, skills like empathy, etc., etc., etc. And you will find this in the workbook, in the film story. And that's, of course, your workbook with extra vocabulary and grammar exercises, a lot of them graded 1, 2, 3 squares. Here's all your exercises, okay? But what I want to show you, again, going back to the different leveling, different, having a book that is very flexible, I want to show you something in the culture section, okay? So here's the culture section. You have 1, 2, 3, and 4 lessons, okay? What is interesting is this. So we got UK culture, okay? And as you can see here, I'm going to zoom in a bit. See here? Oracy again. Do you remember that we saw Oracy at the beginning? And I said to you, you're going to see a bit of Oracy here, and that was the skills and culture page. There was a bit of Oracy. Now there's more here, okay? So you want to go deeper. There you go. You can do it. You want to go even further deeper. No, you can't say that. You want to go even deeper than that. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, UK culture. And then you have other 4 lessons called UK culture video and Oracy. So here, obviously, there's another video. I'm not going to show it to you, but there's another video. But most importantly here, as you can see, Oracy takes up the entire page. So again, we can see here the different, how flexible this course book is. It's at the end of the book. You don't need to do it. You don't have to. But if you have that kind of class, if you have those kind of students that are interested, or you want to push them there you'll have the chance to do it. Okay. And another thing that I found very interesting, I would say very important, is the section that is dedicated to music. First of all, because I like playing. Mike plays too, so he plays with words more than that. Jokey Mike. But also because, let me show you why this section I think is very important. Let me go on a single page and you can see why. UK music, Liverpool, okay. There is a bit of, background fun facts about, Liverpool, etc. But look at here, Liverpool accents. So when in these sections, we focus on regional accents. we don't want our students to sound like a Scouse. That's not the point. We don't want them to sound like, a Scot here in Glaswegian accent. But it is important that they are aware that in the UK, there are a lot of different accents, and they do sound very different from your traditional RP English. So this is a nice way to introduce our students to the existence of regional accents and what they sound like. Okay. And last but not least, and then I'm going to move on to the third level. A couple of things that are very important and might be helpful for you. Grammar Boost. It does what it says on the tin. We have Grammar Boost, and we have a section called Vocabulary Boost. What are these? These are extra exercises. So on top of what you'll find in the student's book, on top of you'll find in the workbook, there's a different section called Vocabulary and Grammar Boost with extra exercises for the students that need more practice, or just for everybody, because sometimes some grammar topics or lexical sets are tricky, right? Okay, so what I would like to do is I'm going to stop sharing for a second. Okay, and just make sure, Mike, is everybody there? Are they happy? Are they alive? You're on mute, my friend.
Everyone seems happy, yeah.
Good. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you level 3 very quickly. Why am I going to show you level 3? Because there is something that is slightly different, and I know you're not going to use it now. You're going to be using it in 2 years, but thinking about what you're aiming at, where you're going, is always helpful in my opinion. So I'm going to show you this thing. So level 3, to go for it, instead of having your 8 units, you'll only have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Why? For 2 reasons. One is because when you write a book, it's important to talk to teachers beforehand. We talk to you, and you guys who teach told us, like, we can't do 8 units the 3rd year. We got too many things. We got Infancy, we got Esame di Stato, we got the A2 key preparation, some of you B1. How can we just do everything? It's impossible. Okay, so we shorten that to 5 lessons, to 5 units. That freed up space for something that I think is majestic, and I'm going to show it to you, is this section called 2 sections. One of them is called Ready for High School. What is Ready for High School? Ready for High School is basically, excuse me, let me do this so you won't see it. There you go. Ready for High School is a revision. Okay, it's a revision of the main tenses that you worked on over the 3 years. So not just the 3rd year, but 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So as we can see, present simple and present continuous. So we put them together. Okay, and this is not just grammar rules with a couple of exercises. We're talking about proper lessons. So as you can see here, present tenses, and we have listening, speaking, writing. So same thing. So in these, you've got audio exercise. So they are proper lessons to cover all the grammatical sets, the tenses, basically all the tenses that we worked on in 3 years. And also here at the bottom, you have a section called Extra Grammar. This is basically, those topics that you almost never have time to cover, such as, again, certain passive, certain direct and indirect speech. Should you have a class or students that are really good and fast, etc., and you want to cover them, you'll have them here. Okay, and then there's another thing that I want to show you that is phenomenal, in my opinion, and is what we call, I'm going to show it to you here. It's a section that comes at the end of the book after the Ready for High School section, and it's called Exam Trainer. So this Exam Trainer section is made up of 3 different sections. Okay, let me zoom in a bit. The first one is A2 Key for Schools. Second one is Invalsi Preparation. And the third one is Esame di Stato, both written and oral part. Okay, so how are they structured? So as you can see, we have a lot of pages, over 20 pages for the A2 skills for schools, same thing for Invarsi, and probably over 40 pages for the Esame di Stato, okay? But here, let me show you what it looks like. So it follows like a double page approach, the A2 key for school preparation section. So on the left, you have a bit of theory and you also have tips and advice. And on the right, you put it into practice. The same thing goes for the Invarsi trainer. So again, lots of double pages, as you can see. And the idea is like on the left, you have prepare section, so get ready for the task. And on the right, put it into practice, covering the entire test, okay? And then we have the Esame di Stato section. This is like the longest, okay? And I think it's very interesting because basically we have 4 pages linked to every subject. So as you can see, literature, 1, 2, 3, 4 pages. History, 2, 3, 4 pages. Geography, etc. So the idea is that the first 2 pages, they focus on, let me zoom in, the written part of the exam, and the other 2 pages, they focus on the oral part. And of course, because we're talking about oral part of the exam, and we're talking about presentation, we're also talking about oracy, which is what our students have been working on for the past 3 years. So by the time they get here with this final preparation, they'll be able to deliver fantastic section. Okay, so this is something that you will find only in the 3rd level of Go For It. Okay, so now before questions and all that, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Okay, and I'm gonna show you a couple of other things that come with Go For It. They are for free, and I'm pretty sure they'll make your life, if not easier, let's say you'll be happy. Okay, let me ask you a question before I start. Does it happen to you? Okay, this is something that used to happen to me. So I'm gonna, because I used to be a teacher, so I'm gonna ask you if it's something that happens to you on a daily basis, or maybe never happens to you. You know, when you set homework with your student, you set homework and maybe they have to watch a video, or maybe they have to, you know, do a listening, and they come back and they say, I didn't do my homework, and you ask them why, and they say, oh, because the platform doesn't work, because I don't have a computer, because they always have an excuse of something that technology failed and therefore they couldn't do the exercise, right? Is it something that happens to you, or is it something that used to happen and nowadays they're all like tech wizards and they can access it? Mike, have we got the chat saying something true or false? Still happens.
One person says true, still happens, always.
Okay. All right. Okay, I'll show you why I'm saying this, because you might not have the book with you. It happens all the time. Now, because now I'm not sharing, so I can see the chat. Yay. You might not have the book with you. Don't grab it now because you're not going to listen to me. But basically, when you open Go For It, like the student's book I'm talking about, not the teacher's book, so something that your student have or should have, okay? Literally, when you open it, okay, the first, what's it called, Mike? The page behind the cover, the back cover?
The front cover of the inner cover.
Yeah, we got the inner cover. There you go. So you got the front cover, right? You open it in the inner cover at the bottom, right? There is in bold, there's a web address, okay? That web address is this. Let me show you. I'm just going to share the screen like this, right? Hopefully you can see my screen. That one is this. So if you go on cambridgeitaly.it/go-for-it app, and again, this website here is printed in the student's workbook about this big in bold, okay? This is a website. And as you can see, it did not ask for a password. Registration is just an open website. Anybody can access it. What will your students find in here? They will find all the audios and all the videos, the 3 levels, or go for it. So if I'm a student, I click on level 1. Okay. What unit did we do before? Was it unit 3? I think, yeah. Click on unit 3, and here I've got all the audios and all the videos that can be played in a second. See? Now, this is really nice for let me stop sharing and look at you in the eyes for a couple of reasons. Number one, no more excuses. The platform doesn't work. There's no platform. I can't register. They don't need to register. It's open. But the other thing, which is very important, is like, some students might not have a laptop because maybe their family cannot afford a laptop. And that is very true. But every student in the world, they all have this thing, right? And that one being a website, you can access it with a mobile phone. Okay, so this is something that, please tell your students, tell them that they can access that from anywhere in the world in a second, okay? And another thing that I'm going to show you is, again, something that comes with Go For It, and it's for free. You have it, and your students have it. So please remind your students of the existence of it. And it's the Cambridge Digital Gym. What am I talking about? What is the Cambridge Digital Gym? Well, let me show it to you. Okay. So I need to hide this. There you go. And I can show you this. So basically, the idea is that when your students scratch the code and unlock the book, they'll see 2 things. They will see this guy here, right? So they will see Go For It. They will see this cover here, right? And next door, just right next door, they will see another cover, this one. It looks like a book. It's not really a book. What is the Cambridge Digital Gym? This is a bank, basically. There are over 800 exercises, okay? They go from A1 to C1. Half levels, A1, A1 plus, A2, A2 plus. All these exercises, when you click on whatever level you want to click on, A1 plus, you have a choice, vocabulary and grammar. 60% of all the exercises are grammar, 40% are vocabulary, so there's more grammar than vocabulary. All these exercises, they are on top of what's in the student's book or what's in the workbook, and on top of the grammar boost and vocabulary boost sections, okay? They're very interesting also because we got different styles. So the same exercise, you'll have different types of questions like drag and drops, fill the gaps, there are listenings, etc. And what's nice is that if I'm a student, I can just do it like this, okay? I'm just going randomly. My English is not this bad, I promise, okay? But basically, I'm a student, okay? So here you go. This is an example of one with a listen, okay? And when I get to the end of the exercise as a student, let me show you. This is very long, so I'll be super quick because we want to give time for questions and answer. Okay, I get to the end, that's one, and I'm given a report. The platform tells me which ones I got right and which ones I got wrong. And if I'm a good student, what I can do is to go back. And as you can see here, I can keep track. I got this right. I got this right. I got this right. So there's no point in me doing this again. But I got this wrong. Let me do it again. I got this wrong. Let me do it again. Okay. So this is something that both you and your students have access to. It's there. So, please use it. Okay. And last but not least, we won't have time to show you everything. But if you remember, we talked about test and train at the beginning of the presentation. I told you it's very important because with level 3 of Go For It, both you and your students will have access to test and train. I'm just going to show you in a second what it looks like. This is test and train, okay? It works on mobiles, it works everywhere. Why is it so cool? Because if I'm a student and I click and I go check, okay, and I go next one, right? Let's say I finish the exercise and I'm going to show you why I think is really cool, because it's called test, but it's also called test and train, which means that at the end of the exercise, at the end of the exam part, okay, if I double click, okay, And if I got it right, it will tell me, yeah, you got it right. Because if I got it wrong, it will tell me why I got it wrong and also what the correct answer is. Hence, the test and train is not, we're not just testing them, we're teaching, we explain to them why they got it wrong, which is the only way to get better. All right. I think, Mike, that I spoke too long. Would you agree? I agree. I got.
Oh, I think that was
We
just
got
about right.
questions or anything you guys want to?
Yes, there are a couple of questions. There's one in the chat here. Let me see if I can find it. It was about preparation materials. Faye Bonner wrote, I'll be teaching exam preparation classes for short-term school projects, students A1 and A2, teachers B2 and C1. Which course book would you recommend? These course books are fantastic, but are designed for a scholastic year. I usually use resources from Cambridge One, etc., but this time I prefer a book.
Okay, I've got a good, got the perfect answer for you. If you go on our website, Cambridge English, you will find a tab resources for PNRR. Okay, courses. When you click there, all you need to do is put in the information you just gave me. So level, number of hours, etc. You click and you will be sent a personalized kit that will explain to you what course books / course books you can use, how many hours, etc., etc., etc. So just go on our Cambridge English website, just that, and you will find PNRR, and we'll be sending you a personalized kit. I hope I answered the question. Great, thanks.
I think you did, yeah. And then, of course, there's always the alternative, which is talk to your local consultant or talk to your local LOSHR agent.
That's
they'll both be able to give you
Mike, can you
detailed
find it?
information on the various options.
If you can find it on the website very quickly for our teachers, because we need to wrap up, the link for us, for the consultants, where they can find the local consultants. If you can find. In the meantime, while Mike is looking for that, a couple of things. I'm going to share my screen, so Mike will have to also launch the poll, all right? But so very quickly, this, guys. Going back here. This is Getting Ready with Cambridge. Okay, this is not the only webinar. So as you can see, we've got young learners to come, exams to come, and teenagers, yes, today, but we're going to 30th September and October. It's a great big thing. So please attend other sessions. They're going to be very, very, very cool. And last but not least, my friend.
And in that regard, Filippo, there was someone that asked earlier in the Q&A, I think, if the 5 p.m. webinar today will be the same as this one.
Yeah, it's me and it's me, but not Mike. It's me, gonna be me and Armenia, but it'll be the same thing. The one for Go For It. Whereas the other, obviously, our webinars are going to be different. And
yes, at the same time, there should be a webinar on both sides for the upper secondary.
Yes.
So if anyone's interested or teaches in the upper secondary, we have webinars happening at the same time as this one on both sides. And the link I shared in the chat and that Filippo's been speaking about, you can find the full program for all of the upcoming events today, young learners events on the 25th and 26th, more exam and exam course related events on the 27th. And then we have separate teenage dedicated sessions on the 30th of September and the 1st of October. So lots coming up, and take a look at the whole program. The link there.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you very much. Mike, you're going to share the poll. We're going to ask you a favor. If you can, Mike is going to share a poll with you. Say how amazing Filippo and Mike were.
Here we are.
Cambridge is.
Yeah, so last minute or two before we run off, I've just activated the poll.
Okay, if you can do that, that would be great. Thank you very much. Everybody.
One last thing. Look at the QA right before we sign off. Have you got Go For It for Spanish students?
No, we don't.
Question.
It's a very good question. It's Go For It is for Italian students. It's an Italy specific coursework.
Yep.
It's not.
Well,
it's
anyway,
a good idea.
in the Spanish market, they do have course books that they create specifically for the Spanish and Iberian market in general. So
yes,
for those
So again,
questions. We have
piece of
a,
advice.
the Spanish Cambridge website you can consult, or again, you can talk to your local consultant or local agents
Yes.
in market for more information about those kind of-
Exactly. And they'll be able to redirect you. Okay.
So great results on the poll, Filippo. 16 out
Yes.
of 16 responders have said it was very useful.
We're good, Mike. We're good.
Yeah.
Right. Thank
All
you
right.
very much, everybody. Thank you so much. And we'll see you soon. Okay. Around. Bye.
All right. Goodbye, everyone.